right. Y'all ready? So all of us have got some experience with some thorns in our life. Am I right? Everybody, listen, we're in the South right now, right? Everybody here at some point has had to mess with thorns. Y'all remember? See, if you were raised in the South, y'all know like blackberry bushes. You were raised up somewhere else, y'all got mulberry bushes. I talked to somebody after the first service, they're like, we have mulberry bushes. Some of y'all, whatever kind of berries are out there. In the South, we got blackberries. And blackberries are some of the best. If you're in the North, you've had maybe blackberry cobbler, but you've never gone out and picked your own wild blackberries out here in the South. But see, blackberries, it's this thing. You got to get the right one, but when you pluck a blackberry, when you start to pull it, you've got like this spring trap of thorns all around it. And so you got to watch because it's going to whip back at you once you get that berry off. And when you get really good at it, you get to this place to where it's like you can get a whole tub of them. Everybody else just walks out with their fingers all scratched up and cry about it. And they just go buy them some at Walmart or something. But in the South, we learn thorns. When I was a kid, things were different when I was a kid. And I don't mean this as a dig, so please hear me here. I don't mean this as a dig about how my generation was better than other generations. It just was. And in that, we, as kids, we worked. Y'all remember, anybody in here, your generation grew up, you worked? You know what I'm talking about? You got up and you went and you had chores, and like we would have to clear brush, we would bush hog as a kid, man, and we would play. When I was a kid, we played outside. And it was the craziest thing in the world. I don't know how we were surviving. I mean, we jumped off stuff. See, in the South, they don't tear down barns. They just let nature reclaim them. And we could go and we would smack the sides of old barns and those things would just fall down. And it was the greatest thing ever. And somehow we survived. We would pick up snakes. We didn't even know what kind of snake it was. It was like, snake. We'd throw them at each other like, shake it off. But I mean, we had like the greatest life ever. And the thing with me that I'll never forget is if I could get to the woods and you would find a briar patch, that was an instant clubhouse or fort. You would go play in it. Man, you go out with a couple tools, a machete, and you go out and you would clear some paths. But there was one thing we always had, thorns. And everybody in here at some point has got a thorn that stuck you. And in that, I'll never forget when I was a kid, man, I would get these thorns and my dad, worst thing in the world. Anybody in here ever have a dad see you get a thorn? They say this one thing, every single one of them. It's ingrained in them. It's given to them by God or the devil, one I don't know. But when you got a thorn and you're like, ooh, and your dad's nearby, they all say the same thing. Come here, let me see it. And you know what that means. Come here, let me see it. What that means is he was born for this moment. He's about to pluck that thorn out of you. And my dad, maybe your dad was the same way. My dad would pull out his pocket knife and he had shaking hands. My dad's hands shook like this right here. And he'd get that knife out and he'd start learning it awful and he'd open that knife up and he'd click and he'd say, come here, come here. Like the worst horror movie scene you've ever seen. It's like he's coming at you like just like a hedge trimmer. And he would grab that thorn and he'd come at it like this right here and he'd hold your hand. He'd hook underneath where it's stuck in and he'd peel it out. Any of y'all ever? Just me? Okay, at least two other people in here are traumatized like I am. And sometimes, I mean, you just get that place where it's like, I'll pull it out myself. That's how dads taught you, am I right? They would make it so excruciating when they would help you that you would, I can do it by myself. And there was one time, man, I broke a thorn off and it was so deep. And there was no way I was going to my dad because y'all know what happens when they break off deep. See, my dad had a surgery kit. And it was a pair of tweezers that were really needle nose pliers. And it was his pocket knife. And I knew when that thing was in there, he was going to have to dig down in there to get to it and pull it out. And so I hid it, man. I would hide it. Y'all know what I'm talking about? When we were kids, a little paper towel and some duct tape, you could hide anything. You could fix anything. And man, I'd hide it and it would heal over and it would be fine. But every time I would use my hand, it would just mash that thorn down in there deeper. Your body's trying to reject it. Your body's trying to push it out. But the more you live with that thorn that's broke down in there, the more it's just pushing against the natural expulsion. And so it would heal over and it would seem fine, and then every now and then your body's trying to put it out, and what your body do, it starts infecting around it. And so it starts infecting and it starts coming to a head, and I want to be cautious because I know I'm live and I don't want to be gross, so I would do what everybody else would do. I would extract the fluid. Still got you, didn't I? But I would extract the fluid. And one day my dad caught me, and I didn't realize he had been watching me. And he said, son, you can mash on that thing all day long. You can mash on it till your finger rots off. But if you really want to get rid of it, you know what you got to do. Son, if you don't dig down in there to where that's at and pull it out, that thing's just going to keep infecting. I'm like, I got. And I'll never forget, my dad said this. And this has fit me in so many areas of my life. This has been one of the greatest pieces of advice, and it hits every area of my life. He said, son, sometimes you got to choose if you're going to go through one big pain so that you can heal, or if you're going to put up with the rest of that pain the rest of your life. I said, okay, Dad. He said, come here. No. I can do it myself. And you know, one of the things I realized was there's a joy of a dad being able to do something for you, but there's no greater joy than a dad watching you get to where you can do it. And he said, okay. And I sat there and, man, took a little razor blade and I cut it and I cut it and I cut it. And ooh, I cut it. And you're trying to be tough in front of your dad, like, oh, yeah, this is easy. And you get to that point where you found that piece of that thorn down in there and it's hard. It kind of scrapes against it, and every scrape's like a little shock. And you're sitting there, and you're just plucking at it. You're like, you're right at it. You're right there. And you know if you could just get it, it'd get gone. And I'm sitting there, and I can't do it. My dad said, come here. When that, you know the difference of come here to come here. When here has 3 H's on it. He grabbed my thumb, and he had it there. And before I could even wince, that shaking hand looked calm, came in, grabbed it, and just pulled it out. I couldn't bear to do it myself. I'd touch it, and I would. You know, the worst thing was I was so scared of the man trying to help me, how much it would hurt for him to get to it. I was scared of how much it would hurt to get it out, that I just kept dealing with it. And then when I submitted and let him get to it, it was out before I could even think about it. And I'm sitting there like, why did I put up with this whole time? And there are a lot of us, man. We got thorns in our lives. They're sharp, they're painful, they snag us when we're least expecting it. Even when we know we're there, like the blackberry bush, we know they're there, but we go in after them. There's this constant risk. You know, even if you pluck the thorns off, those thorns just fall other places. They get caught in your clothes and they can snag you later. I mean, thorns are a constant pest that are in our lives. And sometimes they're obvious, man. Sometimes it's like walking up on a briar bush that's just dry and you see the thorns around you. And like those thorns, we know that. We see that instant threat. And so when we see thorns like that in our life, we're like, okay, that's danger, that's painful. We need to get the machete out. We need to start hacking that down. We need to start clearing that out. But sometimes thorns are attached to something beautiful. Sometimes something can be beautiful, it can smell good, and we're just attracted to it. But it's got thorns because we know every rose has its. There's a whole generation in here that gets that. There's another generation's like, how do they know that? Because it's like every night has its, and every cowboy sings the same. All right, sad song. You guys didn't get that exactly right. But here's the thing I'm saying. There's a whole generation in here like, what happened? Did we miss that message? It's called the 90s. Late 80s, early 90s, greatest generation. You guys were robbed. But the thing is, the rose became the symbol of giving somebody a gift that encompassed love. It became a gift of romance. But it comes with thorns. So even when we look at that, every beautiful thing has thorns. And so we start looking at it, man, and you can have beautiful things in life, and if you're so fearful of thorns, you'll never be able to experience them. And there are some things, if you don't understand thorns, you'll be chasing beauty the rest of your life and you'll be suffering through the thorns. But we have to get to a place to where we understand what the thorns are, how to deal with them, what the risks are with them, and how to move forward in life. If we don't, we're stuck in the same place in the past. So let's talk about types of thorns. We're going to talk about actual types of thorns, and we're going to talk about the spiritual equivalent of that in our life. Are you okay with that right now? Okay, so let's go to the first one, barbed thorns. These are the ones, if you look at a barbed thorn, it's got these little barbs all over it. And so that thorn, it may get you and it goes in quick and it goes in smooth, but all these little barbs on it, If that thorn's going to get extracted, it's going to be painful. You need somebody that understands what kind of thorn this is. Because if you just go snatching it out, those barbs are going to tear, they're going to break off, and you're going to have all these foreign objects on a micro level inside your body that your body's going to be fighting against from this point. You're going to be trying to expel these little barbs for months. But these barbs are going to tear, they're going to break, and these are one of those things where when we stop, we want to try and move on. We want to get the thorn out of our life, but to pull it out, it's like it's just doing damage and it's hurting more and more and more. And so we get triggers. We get this point where every time we start to deal with that thing, that pain in our life, it's like it's reopening the wound, and we have these flashbacks, these looping thoughts, and we start saying things like, why is this happening to me? Y'all with me right now? You know, one of the things is sometimes it's not your fault at all. Sometimes thorns are in your life and you didn't go looking for anything. You weren't picking blackberries. You weren't messing with roses. Sometimes it was just in your path. You didn't even realize it, and a thorn got you. Sometimes thorns invaded your life before you could even plant anything. You were born into briar patches, and that's so hard. And so we ask God, why? Why is this happening? And one of the things we're going to deal with in this series is some people in the Bible that did not create their thorns, but they had to learn to navigate them, but God didn't just take them away. And sometimes these are thorns there in our life that we knew what we were doing, and instead of answering, why does this keep happening, we just keep going back to the same thorn beds. See, these are the things that they keep coming into our life, and we need slow, careful removal because they're going to cause damage as they come out. We need confession to be honest about them. We need counsel sometimes in our lives. We need community around us. And one of the biggest things with every type of thorn is understanding proper boundaries and proper safety material. Sometimes you need some good gloves. Sometimes you need some hedge trimmers. Sometimes you need a weed eater. But sometimes you need to put up boundaries and say, I'm just not going into that part of the woods anymore. Then there's the poison thorns. And each of these thorns, man, as we get into them, I've learned this lesson. No matter what kind of thorn gets you, the remedy, sometimes the solution, sometimes the removal becomes a threat to us because we know it's going to hurt. It's like having that shaking hand coming at you with a pocket knife. We know the removal. See, we didn't expect the thorn going in, but the removal is nothing but anticipation of pain. And so what we can do is we can hear the very word of God from Scripture, and we can say, I don't like that. That hurts. I don't want to hear that anymore. We can get mad at the Creator God who's trying to help us get the thorn out of our life, but it's so uncomfortable, we can get offended. You can have a moment to where a sermon hits you, and the preacher never know who you are. But you'll be like, he was talking about me in the sermon today because I could feel it scraping that thorn in there. You get to a point where you've got good friends around you. They're just trying to help pull that thorn out with you and trying to walk with you. And you're like, I don't like this. I'm done. Stop touching it. Just let it be. And when we get to toxic thorns, man, these poison thorns, they're not just painful. But when they come out, no barbs, no broke off pieces, nothing like that. They leave a toxicity. This is called the crown of thorns. This specific thorn is very toxic. And so when this thorn pokes you, it leaves a poison inside that infects, it inflames, and it actually hurts 10 times worse because of what's inside you after the thorn is. It's something that has now rubbed off inside of you that has changed the wound itself. And so even though the thorn's been removed, you're feeling the throbbing pain, it's aching. And so you can clean it. You need careful attention to it. You need something that's going to clean that toxin out. But the biggest thing is once it's in there, you got to kind of let it run its course. And that's the hardest thing about it is the thorn's out. I'm not even being touched by it anymore. Why does it still hurt me? Why is this still throbbing like this? Why does it hurt so much more? Anybody come to Jesus and realize life can seem harder when you start getting the thorns out of your life? How about this? You were struggling with addiction. As long as you were there, everybody knew what category to put you in. But when you came out, people still don't want to see you as changed. People want to hold you right there, but then your friends look at you like you think you're better than them because you don't want to go out and party no more. It was easier when I was in sin than it is to walk this path. Remember, young people, let me talk to you. Remember your parents didn't care when you was going someplace, you get your life right, and then it's like you got to beg to go to church? I could go hang out with those guys and no questions asked. I'm going to do something with the church and it's like, 50 questions. Sometimes when the toxin's in there, you got to go through the pain of change because something's rubbed off. And you got to be done with that and know it's going to take time. Then there's hidden splinters. And these are those thorns where they broke off, and this is kind of like the embedded thorns, the deep thorns, right? So these are the ones that we look at, and they break off in there, and it's like, man, I've got shame, I've got bitterness, now I'm stuck in this place to where I'm overreacting, I've got these flare-ups, it seems like it's getting better, and then it seems to come back up, I need to control the situation, I'm withdrawing from people all the time, I've got nothing but boundaries in my life, and I'm accusing people. Have you ever had a bad relationship that was genuinely bad, and then you get in a good relationship, but anytime that person does something that seems to hit along the same lines as the former relationship, you throw all of that frustration, all that bitterness, all that defensiveness on this new person that's not doing anything to you? It's because there's some pieces that are broke down in there. And this is one of those moments where we have to be real with God and say, God, I don't even know where it's at, but could you expose the parts of my life that have broken off thorns? Can you help me be ready to dig deep and to cut them out? Because, God, there's some embedded parts in me. And when it gets embedded deep in there, that's when it starts to become home. That's when we're victims and it becomes our identity. And we start hurting other people. That's when we start producing our own thorns, because victims create victims. Victims make other people responsible. We're like, I'm this way because of what happened to me. We justify our brokenness. We justify the pain we cause to other people because we justify. You don't understand. I can't help what happened to me. Have we been there? And the most dangerous place to be is in that justified place where pain is our identity. Because in that, we've given up hope of ever healing, and we've just owned it, and now we're slaves. We're captives. And so when we get to these, man, we got to start saying, God's got to be first. And I know when I'm saying this right now, there's so many people in this room, you're like, you don't understand, I've tried God, trust me, we're going to walk through this. But the first time to understand where this comes from, we got to ask God a simple question. Where do thorns come from? How did thorns even get in this earth? Where does the first thorn show up? And to understand that, the beauty is God gives us his word, and we can find every answer if we just go back to Genesis. All right, so in the beginning, there was this beautiful life. It was lush gardens. Everything was wonderful. God puts man in a garden, but it says he puts him there to work it. Like there is work before there's sin. Can we agree on that? There's always work on our side involved. God doesn't give them a garden that's just mass producing fruit and food for them. They got to work it. But this is before sin. The ground is easy. There's no pain. There's no thorns. There's no guilt. There's no sin. People could walk around naked. That tells you there wasn't thorns. You know what I mean? And so here's what happens. In this garden, everything's provided, and God's like, okay, there's only one piece of fruit I don't want you to eat. You're not ready for it. There's a tree in the middle of this garden. Don't eat it. And then a snake comes in, and he comes to the woman, and when he comes to the woman, he becomes a thorn in her flesh, and he comes to her, and he says, God's actually trying to withhold from you until she gives in to the desire of something that was never promised to her. It's more than what God offered. She was entitled to more, and she took the fruit and she ate it. And in that moment, she went from a thorn bugging her to consuming it, and then she became a thorn to Adam. And she walks up to him and she gives some to him. Now, Adam should have been keeping the thorns out. He should have been like, hey, we're not going to do that. But they were naked, and men don't speak up so well when they're naked. And so here's what happens. Adam's sitting here, he eats the fruit. And then as soon as he eats the fruit, their eyes are open. Sin comes in. Shame enters in. They hide from God. And when God comes up and says, what happened? Adam becomes a thorn to her, and he says, the woman you gave me. You see what happened there? I'm the one who got poked. I was fine till you gave me her. What's my man doing? He's hurting her. When God looks at her, she says, the snake Do you know the people closest to us sometimes can become our own thorn? Check this out, Genesis chapter 3. And to Adam, God said, because you've listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you. I don't care if it's your mama. I don't care if it's your daddy. I don't care if it's your grandma. I don't care what person throughout history said it. If God said don't do it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Why pain? Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. God's not saying, I'm throwing this on you. God's saying, this is a heartbreaking message. God's saying, I warned you. Death would come. Curse would come. So I want to say this, and I want to say this very sincerely. Since sin came into this world, it produces thorns. And they're not fair. It's not fair. But life's not fair. Because this world has fallen. There are thorns in your life you had nothing to do with. But somebody made a decision. There are thorns you're putting in other people's lives. We all are. And it's not their fault. Sin begets thorns. And thorns produce thorns. Check this out. Thorns come because of sin. And even sometimes the closest, there's nobody else closer to Adam than Eve. And she's his thorn. There's no one else closer to Eve than Adam. And he's her thorn. But they have to make a choice. Do we continue to become thorns to one another? Or do we become allies to help remove the thorns from each other? Jesus put it like this with splinters. He said, you must first remove the one that's in your eye, the log in your eye, to help your brother see clearly, to remove the speck from his. See, we got to get to a place to where we examine our own thorns, and then we become allies to other people, because when we've been through something, man, through this fallen state, we start building a testimony. And so we get to this place to where it's like, God, why don't you just remove it? He doesn't just remove it for Adam and Eve. He dresses them and covers them so the thorns aren't terrorizing them. He equips them so that they can live in the environment they've created, but he gives them every way to become stronger. And so we come to this place in God, man, and I think the big thing is we get to this place where we want to avoid anything that hurts, because some of our pains, not due to our choices, they happen in our childhood. They were accidents sometimes that happened. Sometimes they were intentional offenses that were forced upon us that we had no control over. And life's not fair. It's cursed. But in that, there's one person that's willing to help us, that's trying to help us dig to the thorns, that's trying to reveal the danger of the thorns. And when it happens, we get so scared. And Jesus said this, and this is the thing that this broken world, this one piece of hope, Jesus declared in Matthew chapter 11, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden. Remember in the beginning, they worked in the garden, but after sin, work became painful, it became hard. And he's saying, everyone who labors and is heavy worked, I will give you rest. Take my yoke on you. This is how you tied two oxen together. He's saying, take my yoke and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart. That means my hand don't come in shaking like this. I'm gentle, I'm lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What he's saying is when you yoke together with me, when you strap together with me, I pull my share and help you pull yours. But you got work to do. I'm not going to pull the whole plow. This is a team effort. The part of it is this. When we keep trying to yoke ourselves to people that run into the thorn bushes, we're going into the thorn bushes. And when we keep trying to do it by our own strength, we fail every time. And Jesus is saying, I'm strong enough. I'm ready. Trust me. It's not going to be done overnight, but we're going to do this together. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. I wanted you to see there's some thorns, and we're going to talk about these more as the series goes. But there's some thorns that, although some are not our fault, some are. And I want to share this with you, and this is probably one of the hardest pieces we can lean into right now in this moment. That some thorns you're so afraid to remove because they have a face and they have a name. And somewhere out there, the world told us that as Christians, our job is to allow thorns to infect us again and again and again. And I want to share something with you. God told his people in Numbers chapter 33, there's the people that are wicked in the land they're going into that God's going to drive out for them. He says, but if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, then those of them who you let remain. These are the ones that they're worshiping idols. These are the ones that have practicing magic arts. These are the ones that are doing defiling things. If you let them remain, they shall be as barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides. You ever wonder where that phrase comes from? And they shall trouble you in the land where you dwell. Do you see this? God is saying, this is the Old Testament theme. If you have people in your life that are leading you into pain, if you do not drive out, it's not saying tell them to go to hell. It's saying if you don't remove the things that are tormenting you, they will become thorns in your flesh. Joshua 23, he says this to the people, for if you turn back in verse 12 and cling to the remnant of these nations remaining among you and make marriages with them so that you associate with them and they with you, know for certain that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations before you, but they shall be a snare and a trap for you, a whip on your sides and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from all this good ground that the Lord your God has given you. Can we be honest for a second and say that some of the biggest thorns in our life are the things that we are constantly convicted by the world over of, I can't do anything about that? How many times do we stay in a relationship and instead of saying no, we keep justifying one more time? And I just want to bring this out. That how many of us can be done with God after 1 month of trying and go back to a relationship we've given a lifetime to? We're scared to death of that one big pain of cutting something off, of digging it out. And so we go through a lifetime of infection. But I want you to see this, man. In Ezekiel 28, verse 24, God gives a promise that there is coming a time when someone will replace these relationships. And he says there will be no briar, no prick or thorn. And these relationships, if you'll remove them, there is one who can come in who will build a relationship that's not like this. Matter of fact, this man is Jesus. We learn about this through Scripture. And Jesus is the one. I don't want to give this away too much, but one day he takes our thorns and makes a crown out of them and wears them because he is conquering the thorns of this life. But we keep going to the thorn producers instead of the thorn remover. We keep going to the people that inflict pain instead of the man who endured pain so that he could show us he's not abandoning us, he's with us. Are you with me yet, church? I want you to see this, that in this life, you can't help what you're born into. You can't help what's been forced on you. You can't help the brokenness of this life, but you can help if you decide to stay in chains. When there is a deliverer who says, I will take your pain, I will yoke you to me, and I will give you strength. You can have freedom. It's not easy, but the yoke is easy and the burden is lighter. Listen, man, I think honestly, we're so good at giving Jesus parts of ourselves, but we're so scared to let him touch the deep thorns. No one says it's going to be easy. It's going to hurt. But when it's out, see, the problem with a thorn is it creates a hole. And we got to be careful not to get to the point to where we're so comfortable with that pain that even when it's removed, we don't go find it and put it back in just to fill that hole. Listen, if you'll let it heal, it's not overnight. It's a relationship. It's a walk. But it will heal and it will have a scar. And that scar is not ugly. That scar is stronger than the skin that was there before. It's learned life lessons. It's a testimony. That scar teaches us, as we deal with thorns, how to navigate this life. I need gloves. I need to be able to cut things down. And more importantly, when I've endured pain, I don't want to waste the pain I've gone through and just keep living in it. I want to take that pain and turn it into a testimony and help other people avoid pain or come out of pain. Don't waste the pain you've gone through. Don't let it master you. Turn it into a testimony. Listen, the Apostle Paul got this, and he was at a point, he understood God hasn't taken all the thorns yet. Even in Jesus Christ, there are pains in this life, but he's given us a grace to overcome them. 2 Corinthians 12:7 says, so to keep me from becoming conceited, because of the surpassing greatness of revelations, a thorn was given me in the flesh. If God just kept taking every problem out of my life and I never learned how to navigate them, I would think it was all me and I would get awful arrogant. A messenger of Satan to harass me, to keep me from becoming conceited. This isn't some physical ailment. When you look at this in the context of Scripture and you look at this the way he's pointing it, he's saying, while I'm at the best, I'm walking with Jesus, there's still attack that's coming at me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord about this, that it should leave me. God, I'm begging you. How many have we been in this situation? God, please take it away from me. God, I'm done. Please, I'm submitting to you. Why am I still in pain? But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. What God say? If I take it from you, you'll never see how strong you can be. You'll never see what my power in you is like. If I'm always just moving in front of you and clearing out the thorns, you'll never learn what you're here for, but I will walk with you and help you. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecution, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I've never seen a Christian on the mountaintop at the peak of their faith. But I've seen people find the greatest relationship with Jesus while they're down on their knees. God's not a God who lets us suffer. He's a Father who comes alongside and gives us the strength to overcome and helps us dig it out. To learn in our weakest moments, he gives us strength. 1 Corinthians 10:12 says, therefore let anyone who thinks he stands take heed lest he fall. It means don't think you're good. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man, but God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape that you may be able to endure it. I don't know if that hits you like it does, so I'm going to give you an example. The movie Spider-Man Homecoming. Peter Parker. Peter Parker gets bit by a spider, and it infects him. It's got a venom. But that venom does something different in him. It becomes like a supernatural, superhuman power that's inside him, and he becomes strong. And so there's this moment in the movie where Peter, he's kind of been coming into the difference between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, who he was as a kid and who he is as a superhero. Bear with me. And he comes to this point where he loves this girl, he likes this girl, but he's figured out her dad is the bad guy. And so he's in this moment, this choice. Do I go to the prom and stay there as Peter Parker? I've got this threat. If you come after me, I'm going to hurt you. Or I choose to be Spider-Man, and I go and I stop this man from hurting a lot of people. And so Peter kind of goes and he puts on his kid costume and he gets his stuff together and he goes and faces this guy. And this guy's real experienced, he's smart. And he waits until Peter's standing in the right place, and he lures him there while he's trying to let this kid talk and trying to get him in his ego of how he's really this superhero and going to stand up to this bad guy. And Peter's standing there as Peter Parker with the strength of Spider-Man. And this guy blows the building up and it falls down on Peter Parker. And Peter Parker's got like this whole building crushed down on top of him. And he's sitting there. His friends can't get to him. No one can hear him. He can't cry out. No one's there to save him. And he starts pushing and pushing and pushing and crying in pain, but the weight's too much. He can't get out. And then he realizes something. Deep inside of him is a supernatural force that is more than Peter Parker, that is a strength Peter Parker never had, that's a strength none of his friends has. And so he starts screaming, "Come on, Spider-Man! Come on, Spider-Man!" And he starts pushing, and he screams, and he pushes, and he screams, "Come on, Spider-Man!" And he slowly resurrects from the stones and the debris that's crushing him, because he realized there's a power inside of him greater than Peter Parker. What I'm saying to you is, I know it's heavy, I know it's painful, but God has provided a way out, and there is a supernatural presence of God Almighty called the Holy Spirit through Jesus Christ who lives in you. And you've got to get to a place where you say, "Come on, child of God. Come on, child of God. You've got this. He's with me. I'm not alone. I'm not crying out to the powers of this world. I'm not crying out to my vanity. I'm crying out to my Father who is with me and giving me strength." Child of God, the thorns have been your cage long enough, and He's provided a way for you to get up and escape, to know you're not the child anymore, but you are a hero that's been called to save others through the gospel of Jesus Christ. Go from Peter Parker like he did to Spider-Man, but you are not a child anymore. You don't need a costume. You don't need to pretend like the pain wasn't there. You just need to resurrect. So, family of God, will you stand right now with me? Stand up, child of God. Stand up and know who's with you. Stand up and know who equips you. Stand up and know who calls you, and know what you are called to be. Yes, pain is there, but every day we get up and we walk with a Father. When it's hard, we don't go back to the thorns. We don't go back to the pain. We go forward with the one who's yoked with us, who doesn't stop, with the one who's got a mission to say, "I'm going to take this pain and I'm going to use it, and it's going to become a testimony that's going to set other people free," because that's who you are. Child of God. The world needs you, child of God. The world needs Christ in you. And we got a road to go. We got a lot of thorns we got to deal with, and we got 3 more weeks. We're going to dig and we're going to grow. But I need you today to know one thing. God made no mistake when He sent His Son to redeem you. And all of your pain is power. They defeated Satan by the blood of the Lamb and the power of the testimony. Come on, child. Today we're going to sing. If you're here and you've got the weight on you and you just need somebody to help you, maybe to start praying over you. Maybe you've been walking and it's heavy and the load's there. Come on, we got you. Men and women are coming up here right now and they'll pray with you. Maybe you're in a place right now where you're sitting there and you're like, I've been wrestling and I just don't think I'm worthy. God never asked you to be worthy. He just asked you to choose Him, to yoke with Him. He'll bring you there. Then let's walk with you. If there's stuff you've got barbs in you and it's so hard to repent, let's do it together, man. If you're too scared to even talk about Jesus to other people, we'll do it with you. Let's grow together. Let's just take the steps. If you've not been washed in the blood of Jesus Christ, if you've not gone through that resurrection from the death and the burial and found new life, then today is your day. Come and be cleansed. Let His Spirit live inside of you. And if you don't have your next steps, quit doing the same first steps over and over and walk out of this building in your next steps as a child of God and say, I have more than pain to offer this world. I have resurrection. I have hope. And I'm just going to let that shine. As dim as it is, I'm going to let it grow. Together, we can change the world. Not us, not our strength, Him and us. Let's change the world, church.